There's a moment in every mystery where everything still feels normal. Before the questions begin, before the footage is replayed 1,000 times, before strangers on the internet try to piece together a life they never knew. A moment where nothing feels unusual. For Elisa Lam, that moment existed, and then it disappeared. In early 2013, Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old student from Canada, arrived in Los Angeles. She wasn't running from anything. She wasn't being chased. She was just traveling, like millions of people do every year. She wrote about her life online. Thoughts, emotions, fragments of who she was becoming. There was a quiet honesty in her words. A sense that she was still figuring things out. And maybe that's what makes this story different. Because it doesn't start with danger. It starts with something ordinary. A trip, a hotel, a few small decisions that don't seem important at the time. But looking back, they feel heavier. Like pieces of something you didn't realize you were building. Los Angeles was just one stop on her journey. She checked into the Cecil hotel. At first, it's just a place to stay, a temporary stop. But some places don't stay neutral for long. If you look at it during the day, it doesn't feel special. Just another aging building in downtown LA. But the Cecil has a history that doesn't quite stay buried. Decades of incidents, deaths, stories that never fully made sense. Most guests never feel it, but some stories seem to find the right place at the wrong time. At first, Elisa stayed in a shared room, but after a few days, something felt off. Her roommates complained. They said her behavior was strange. So the hotel moved her. A private room, a quieter space. And from that point on, things stopped following a normal pattern. On January 31st, Elisa Lam disappeared. No one saw her leave. No one heard anything unusual. She didn't check out. She didn't contact her family. She just stopped existing in the timeline. At first, it didn't feel like an emergency. People lose contact all the time. But then a day passed. Then another. And the silence started to feel wrong. Her family reported her missing. Police began searching. They checked the hotel, reviewed security footage, talked to staff. But there was nothing. No clear direction, no confirmed exit. It was as if Elisa had been removed from the story, without leaving a trace behind. Then 2 weeks later, something changed. Police released a surveillance video, 4 minutes long. It would become one of the most disturbing pieces of footage ever analyzed online. The video shows an elevator. Elisa walks in. She presses multiple buttons, then more, almost all of them. But the elevator doesn't move. It just stays there, and then her behavior shifts. She steps into the corner, pressing herself against the wall. Her body language changes. Tension, awareness. She looks toward the hallway, like she's watching someone or something. She suddenly steps out, looks left, looks right. There's nothing there. At least, nothing visible. She steps back in. Now her movements feel disconnected. Her hands start moving, slow, controlled, almost like she's explaining something to someone standing just outside the frame. But no one ever appears. And then there's the elevator door. It doesn't close. Even after she presses the buttons, even after she steps fully inside, it just stays open, as if the system itself is waiting for something, or refusing to move. Eventually, Elisa steps out of the elevator one last time. She disappears from view. Seconds pass. Then finally, the door closes. That's the last time she's ever seen alive. Days later, something else begins to go wrong. Guests at the hotel start complaining. The water tastes strange. The color isn't right. The pressure drops. At first, it sounds like a maintenance issue, but the complaints don't stop. So a worker is sent to check the rooftop water tanks. He climbs up, opens one of the tanks, and finds Elisa inside. Her body is floating in the water. At that moment, the case shifts from a disappearance to something far more unsettling. Because now there is an answer, but it doesn't explain anything. How did she get there? The roof wasn't easily accessible. Access points were supposed to be locked. The tank itself wasn't easy to open. And yet, she was inside. The autopsy found no major injuries, no clear signs of violence. The official ruling: accidental drowning. Case closed. But not really, because the explanation doesn't resolve the feeling, and this case is built on that feeling. Some believe Elisa was experiencing a severe mental health episode. She had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and there are reports she may not have been taking her medication consistently. In that state, paranoia and hallucinations are possible. That could explain the elevator, but it doesn't explain everything. Others believe there was someone else there, someone just outside the camera's view, but there's no evidence, no proof, just absence. And then there's the Cecil Hotel itself, a place where strange things have happened, again and again. Some people believe it's just coincidence. Others aren't so sure. Years later, the footage is still being watched, analyzed, debated, frame by frame, looking for something everyone missed, a detail, a shadow, a moment that changes everything, but nothing ever does. The case remains closed, but the story doesn't feel finished, because some mysteries don't stay in the past. They stay with you, in small details, in unanswered questions, in that quiet, uncomfortable feeling that something isn't right. And maybe that's why this case still matters. Not because we don't have an answer, but because the answer doesn't feel like the truth. So now the question isn't just what happened to Elisa Lam, it's whether we're looking at the right version of the story at all.